Welcome to Journey Home to Self. This is a place for us to explore the milestones, the roadblocks, the pit stops, and the breathtaking sights on the most important journey of our lives, the journey of coming back home to you. My hope is that through the stories, insights, knowledge, and wisdom we share here, you get inspired and activated to widely fall in love with choosing yourself every single moment. I'm your host, Deepshikha Sairam, and I am truly so excited and honored that you are here. Let's dive in and journey home to self together. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Journey Home to Self. Okay, I posted this meme on Instagram yesterday. It says, I just need 8 to 12 hours of alone time in the mornings, and then I am recharged and ready to tackle the day. If you're like, hell yes, me too, woman, then this episode is for you. We're talking about how do we take time for ourselves, especially for working moms. And I don't care if you work inside your house with your kids or you work outside the house for a corporate, for your own self. If you're a mom, you're a working mom. And I have this beautiful guest today with me who is going to talk to us about how do we manage our time so that we can take time for ourselves as well, because as we all know that we need that. I definitely need that. So today I have my friend Sara Madera. After leading organizations and departments across the globe, Sara became a career coach after realizing the favorite part of every job was helping her team realize their goals. A naturally good listener and mother of two, she's a career coach for working moms to help them thrive at work and at home while still finding time for themselves. Sara, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am excited to have a conversation with you. So, Sara, before we go into how can working women's find time for themselves, because it's a lot, right? We have our career goals, we have kids activities, and I feel like in this century that we are living in, it's a lot. Like there's so much some days that we have to do that it's very hard to find time for ourselves, and most women feel guilty about it. But before we get into all that juicy conversation, I want to know a little bit about you. How did you start this business? How did you decide that you wanted to work for organizations and then work with working moms and help them realize their goals?
Well, I have been lucky enough I've lived all over the world. And because of that, I've been able to do lots of different things. But like you said in my bio, definitely my favorite part of every job has always been developing people. Both of my parents are therapists. So I really grew up in this environment where we were always talking about, what do you think that person's personality type is? What do you think is the best way to connect with them or motivate them or, work with them? And so I really grew up in this world. And so I kind of actually a little bit accidentally fell into coaching, but it just felt like home. It felt very normal and natural after growing up in that environment where, listening to people, being non-judgmental and like really just hearing their stories was really just so fantastic. And it all kind of came about to become a full-time coach during the pandemic, right? I think that working women really held up the world during that time, that we already had such full plates, and yet we were now taking on Zoom and being teachers and being nurses and being epidemiologists and having a whole new level of managing your household along with still, being super productive at work and, getting all the things done. And at about, I was going through that too. And about the same time we were living in Singapore and thinking about where do we want to go next. And it really just sort of like the she session, with the Great Resignation and this she session with so many women leaving their jobs, I think because they were realizing, look, I can't quit my job as a parent, but I can quit my day job because I'm just dealing with too much. And I was like, this really seems like the time and place where I can really put into effect what these tools and techniques to support these working moms. So, I put that into effect. And after a bit, we did move back to the US, and I've been able to have such fantastic conversations with so many women, and I'm so happy about it.
I love that. I love that you found a need because you're right, working women really upheld the world. It
Mm.
was definitely a lot. I don't think we talk about it enough on how hard it was for
Mhm.
women at that time, because now we were not only being asked to work, but also be teachers, school our kids, and take care of their Zoom. Oh gosh, like just thinking about that time gives me a lot of PTSD.
Oh no.
But
Oh
I
no.
love that you found a need and you said, "Oh, this is something that I can do." I absolutely love that you were raised in a very therapeutic, I would say, and a coaching kind of an environment, so that like makes you a born coach. I think these days everyone and everyone's dog is a coach, but I feel like you are definitely born to be a coach. Um, okay, so we when we think about career moms, working moms, and like I said before in the introduction, if you're a mom, you're a working mom. Period. There's no gray area over there. When we think about, I think, self-care for moms, the idea that has been perpetuated by the patriarchy, by the industry is, oh, a spa day or a bubble bath or a bath bomb bath or whatever bath. Not that I have anything against bubble baths. I love them myself. And these things can be good, taking time for yourself, going to a spa, going for a manicure is good. But for a lot of women, that doesn't cut it, right? And B, it's not even self-care. How would you define self-care?
I think that, like you say, there are so many ways to describe it. But, I think of it really honestly as the basics of taking care of yourself. And I even have like a bit of a hierarchy because I've had so many conversations with women who they call me and they're just like, wow, I really hate my job. I hate my life. I hate my partner right now. I hate all of it. And my first question is, are you sleeping? And almost always they tell me no, that they're not because, their baby is still little and, teething, this or that, and they're really not able to sleep or they feel stressed or anxious. And so, I've just found that honestly, these basic levels, are what is needed to really create the foundation before we can even think about spa days being good.
Right.
So really at the bottom level, I really put that sleep and eating, not just like, eating the leftovers of your kid, but making sure you're having like nutritious, enough calories for you. Because again, also if you're unhappy, often, sometimes you need a snack. I mean, it's true, right?
Yeah. And also, like, as women, we are known not to take care of ourselves very well. Like, I am definitely guilty of that. Sometimes we will just eat the leftovers of our kids and not eat nourishing meals ourselves.
Definitely. And talk about hangry. I mean, nothing will make me more frustrated than not eating. So I really think that sleep and eating are really that basic level that just may help you function, not be in a fog, help you just even be aware that you have emotions, that you're not hangry and like not even realize it, but just, having those ability to just, function as a human, be able to, relate at all. It's like just number one step. Then I think that next level is really that I think what I call kind of stillness and movement, whether you are moving your body every day, whether that's exercise or walking or whatever that look, yoga, Pilates, however that looks for you, some kind of movement, and then also some kind of stillness. So whether that is meditation or prayer or taking a moment of just quietness over, a cup of tea or coffee to just reflect in and see how you're feeling and just check in, like, well, how do those feel? I think that those sort of kind of go hand in hand, even as they maybe are opposites. They really kind of, again, love that next level of like, okay, how do I manage my feelings? How do I make sure that I am, finding joy and happiness in my day? How am I making sure that I'm not getting burnt out or stressed? How am I making sure that I'm staying healthy and able to be energetic with my kids? I think that's sort of that next level.
Yeah.
Version of self-care. And then that very top level, the perfect little triangle, is that where you find doing something that you love. So whether that is reading or taking those baths or having those spa days, manicure, learning something new, learning a language, just finding that place where, you are you again, and you are able to be yourself and have that love. That top level, I think, is where we find compassion, not only for ourselves, but for others, as well as, being able to have the space to make those big leaps.
Mm.
Okay, I want to start my own business. Okay, how do I get to that next level of positive parenting? How do I, connect, with my partner in a better way? All of those things I think come from having that that space where you feel you and you can really enjoy. So I think it's really like that. It's a three-part system to
Oh.
self-care and kind of depending on where you are, but you really have to start at the bottom and then, take those steps to take care of yourself along the way.
Yeah, and while you're saying this, it totally makes sense, right? Because the two things that are coming to me, first of all, like if we haven't met our basic needs like sleep and
Mm.
nourishment, and I'm being reminded of this podcast episode that I heard a long time back between one of my friend Caitlin Donovan, who was in on the podcast too. She's a burnout coach, and Dr. Valerie Rain, who wrote the book The Patriarchy Stress Disorder,
Mm.
and they talked about how women won't go pee, and we will hold it because we're like, just one more email, I have to send one more email. And I can't remember now if it was on the podcast, if I read it somewhere else, but there were these women who had constant UTIs
Mhm.
because they would just not pee for hours and hours and hours. So I feel like basic self-care, that is basic self-care.
Yeah.
Pee when you have to pee. In fact, Caitlin sent out an email the other day saying pee when you gotta pee. And coming back to your pyramid, it's so beautiful because unless you haven't slept and nourished yourself, if your basic needs are not being met, you can't even enjoy the other things, right?
Mhm.
And Sarah, this reminds me, and I'm so glad when you talked about stillness, you also mentioned, just having a cup of tea, cup of coffee. When I was very early on in my business, I worked with a mindset coach who was supposed to like help me bust my mindset blocks. And one of the
Oh.
things she's told me was like, you have to meditate every day. And I used to meditate, but very on and off. And now I love meditation. I can do it anytime. I'm very consistent with it. And I can do hours of meditation. But at that time, I was still very new at it. And also at that time, my kids were still younger. So I was like, I have no time to meditate. Like, there's no time. I'm either doing my business or I'm taking care of my kids. And she said, you have to get up every day at 5 o'clock and meditate. There's no other way. You have to do that. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, I can't.
My gosh. Yeah, no way.
And basically, the message that I received was that if you can't get up at 5 a.m. every day to meditate, then you're not going to get rid of those mindset blocks, right? If X doesn't happen, Y doesn't happen. And it's not so black and white, right? No,
Yeah.
people don't have time. I read this quote by someone today that we all have the same 24 hours in a day. We actually don't. Mm-mm,
No.
we don't. A single mom taking care of three kids and a job does not have the same hours as I do, right?
Mhm.
Someone who has a full time housemaid and helping them, or, a stay at home dad does not have the same hours. I don't have the same number of hours that she does. So we don't have the same number of hours. So I think those basic needs have to be met. And that is when like I can enjoy my spa day even better. So if I'm not slept and if I'm hangry, then I might not even find the spa day or the bubble bath very relaxing.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly, right? If you're gonna fall asleep in the bath, and it's just not the same.
Right.
That's
Or
for
be frustrated in the bath or like
yeah.
meditating and being like those little shits.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So of course we have you, in your experience, have you met career moms who struggle with self-care? I think we all do, but what I want to hear from you is like what are working moms saying? What are they saying their number one struggle is in taking care of themselves?
I was talking with another coach recently about this, and we were laughing that, people who are frustrated, and honestly, so many of the frustrations, whether it's, being present with your kids or, being able to focus at work, or so many of these different kinds of issues, they really kind of come back to a lot of self care and how are you setting yourself up for success each day, right? And it sounds, like, why would you hire someone to tell me this, right? To teach you, like, yes, get enough sleep, get enough to eat, exercise, take time for yourself, do something you love. Like, it seems like it is self-evident, right? But actually it really is a struggle, particularly when you have little kids who are so demanding on your time, plus a job, plus a spouse, plus a house, all of the things, right? And it makes it really difficult to prioritize those things, right? And really actually make them happen because you're like, well, again, taking care of myself comes last, and I've got all of these other things to take care of. But by really actually, what do they say? Putting your own oxygen mask on first,
Yeah.
like you can actually better take care of those things in your day. And it's hard. That's a really hard shift to make for a lot of us, not even just moms. But that's, to think about it differently, to think, how can I better take care of my job, my kids, my house, my partner by taking care of myself. And that switch by itself is such a big part of the conversation that I have with clients. One of my clients, I love how she said it. She's like, wow, talking with you made me realize I don't need to be a mom robot. I don't have to just be taking care of everyone else's needs. My needs are important, and I will be a better mom because of it. And I just thought, oh my gosh, she just said it perfectly, and it transformed her life. And she has been able to enjoy being a mom, enjoy, her life better. She's been able to grow her business because of it. And it really just changed, her whole dynamic with how she interacted with herself, with her to-do list, with all the things in her life.
Yeah. I think it's really important that we see examples of it being done in front of us as well. For some people, it comes really easy. If I talk about myself, I did not see my mom taking care of herself at all. Like, she was the last to eat. She was the first one to get up. Always like her, the household stuff came first for her. So
Mhm.
for me, I'm a born rebel. So I would say it's still, I was like, I am not going to do those things. Even then, I feel like there's such a big pull of, and it was more before, but now it's become better. This mom guilt, this guilt
Mhm.
of putting yourself first. So even if, let's say, if I have to go, for example, I at least once a year I go for a weekly retreat, a meditation retreat. And the first time I went for it was hard for me to come to terms with that. Oh, I'm going to be leaving my kids all by themselves, and also to let go of the control. But so that's why we need coaches. That's why we need people telling us that it's okay to do so, and showing us that I do it, and therefore this just flows into the other areas of my life as well. Right?
Definitely. Yeah, it's so funny. On my Instagram, I post my morning workouts because
I see them. I love them.
and I'm not a fitness coach, right? In no way am I a fitness coach, but it's something that's important to me. And I want to try to show, like, this is something that I've prioritized. I get up early, I get up before my family to make sure that I get it done. And yes, it's one of the things that people interact with me the most about because they see that model, right? They see that happening. And even though I'm embarrassed every single day when I do it, I think that it's important to do and to show, like, look, I am prioritizing myself in order to make this happen and to take care of myself. And this is the way I enjoy to move my body. And so I try to share that. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not definitely not easy.
Yeah, and I have to say, your workout video is one of the days I try and work out every day as well. I'm very proud of this because I always wanted to be someone who wanted to make working my body as a hobby. I wanted it to, sorry, as a habit, not a hobby. I wanted it to be a habit. And I tried so hard, but I would fall off all the time. And this year I've done that. I'm on my 60 plus day, I don't know, maybe 60
What?
a week days of
Congrats.
workouts. I've been working out every single day and I enjoy it, and my body is changing. And there was this one day where I got really busy and I forgot about it. I just, like, it was such a busy day, I forgot about it. And then I turned on my Instagram and I saw your video and I was like, oh, I have to work out today. I haven't worked out. So this is just a confirmation that it works. You
Oh,
are inspiring people in just a very little way.
oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That makes me feel so good.
So, Sarah, if there's a woman out there who is struggling to take time for herself, even if it's the basic needs or, taking care of her body, movement, stillness, what are some tips that you would tell them? Like, what are some of the ways that you can guide them to carve time for themselves, so that they can take care of themselves.
Yeah, I think that's great. So for sure, again, starting with sleeping and eating, make sure you're getting enough hours of sleep and whatever that amount of sleep is for you. Like some people I know do well on 6 hours. I am much more like an 8 to 10 hours kind of girl. So I make sure to get that amount of time, whatever the kind of sleep is. So setting your sleep schedule. And ever since I had newborns, I have just made like sleep is so precious to me that I make sure I have my sleep schedule. I make sure I turn off the TV at a certain time so that I can get in bed at a certain time and make sure I get the amount of sleep that I need. Yes, even on the weekends, it's kind of crazy, but I run it like it is just that precious to me. And then think I just try to find other ways to make it easy so that, I get up at 6:30 in the morning before my kids get up so I can work out. But I make sure my workout clothes are ready. I make sure my shoes are untied. I make sure, my clothes are laid out. Often because I like to do workout videos, I might even choose my workout video the night before. I just make it as easy as possible. So I just have to get up and do it. There's no thinking involved. There's no, protest involved. There's nothing, just to make it as easy as possible for myself to accomplish it. But I think that once you start developing these habits, sleeping well, eating well, moving your body, even meditation, right? That you start to see the benefits of them. And then you want to do them more and more and more. And it starts off slow. You kind of have to, yes, you have to get back on the wagon sometimes, and that can be painful. But you will start to see the benefits. And, if you are at a point in your life where there's a lot of things happening, like a lot of change happening, maybe you're starting a new job or you have a new baby or you're moving or, there's some kind of other impact going on. And those things are just really not serving you at that moment. Also okay. It's okay to take a break from some of the things. I would definitely still stay with sleeping and eating, make sure those things happen. But if you need to take a break from working out, from meditating, from reading or whatever those things are, that's okay. And it's just for a time, to make sure that you are focusing on what is most important to you. And then it's always there for you when you come back. Like in December for me, December was crazy. And I just felt like working out was just not where I wanted to be. It wasn't bringing me joy. It felt difficult. It felt painful. It wasn't in the right space. So I took a break. I didn't overanalyze it. I didn't stress about it. I just didn't work out for, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or something. And then come in January, I was like, okay, let's see how I feel about this. And I did it again. And I found the joy again. I remembered why I loved it and why I enjoyed it. So it's okay to sort of, go with the ebb and flow of it. Find what the time works for you. For me, I like to work out first thing in the morning, but I know people who like to do it in the evenings or afternoons.
Yeah.
Also fine. Whatever, it's finding the schedule that works for you, sticking with it for as long as it serves you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Take a little bit of a break. Try again. See when it does, when it might work for you again.
Yeah, I think the problem happens when we women are so hard on ourselves that we like, oh, if I fell off, then I can't do it ever again. It's like if one of your car tires is burst out, like you hit a rock or a nail or something, you're not gonna get a knife and slash the other tires, right? Or you're not gonna keep running with the tire. You're gonna stop and you're gonna assess. And I think we forget that we always can begin. I love to say this to my people, my community, that journey home to self, and what we're talking about is journey home to self. It's finding what works for you. It's finding the joy. You cannot journey home to self if you've not taken care of ourselves, of our body, the body that we live in. The journey home to self is about a million beginnings. There is no end. But there can be a beginning, and it meets you right where you're at. It can meet you right here, right now. So even if after this moment you decide that you have to take maybe 10 minutes for yourself to take a power nap or do a workout or do go walk outside or just call a friend, that's available to you. It's available to us at every moment. And also there's no end, but the beauty of that is that we keep on evolving. There was another thing that I wanted to mention here, Sara, and I have seen you do this even with your kids. When my kids were little, I do this even now. So I did it just this weekend with meditation with my kids, but especially when my kids were little, it was difficult to do stuff on my own, right? They were always around. My young little one had not started school, and sleep was definitely something that I was completely deprived in because he was just not a good sleeper. So that was something that I was not taking care of. It was just not possible for me at that time. But things like meditation and working out, what I would do is I would involve my kids into it. So even if it was like a 10-minute dance cardio, I would just, have them, I would play it and do it with them so that I can get my own time. And I also don't have to worry about them because when we're starting out, yes, the end goal is to be able to carve some time for yourself so that you're alone away from those little shits. But sometimes it's not possible. So I think we have to find a balance in that. Like for this weekend, I didn't find time to meditate on Sunday. I was like, what are we gonna do? So I sat both my kids down and I played a meditation video on our television and I asked them to meditate with me. My little one was not happy about it. And he told me later, he was like, I didn't even do it, mom. I had my eyes open the entire time, but he didn't get up. He didn't get up. And I was in my mind, I was like, you think you played me? You little rascal. I played you because I was able to meditate with you on the couch because you didn't get out of the couch.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think we feel like it has to be one way or the other. But what I'm hearing from you as well is that there can be there's so many permutations and combinations of this.
Definitely. For sure. During the week, because we have a routine in our schedule, and they have school most of the time, that I can get up early and we can, I can make it happen for myself. But yeah, on the weekends, I don't want to be as tightly scheduled. I want my life to work for me, not me to work for my life. Right. And so sometimes that means if I need to get my movement in or my meditation in, the kids join along. And so I found ways, whether that's, outdoor hikes, which usually I have to bring a lot of snacks to keep them engaged and interested, but it works. We have a dance video that we like. Sometimes they really like to do weights with me, which I find really funny. I mean, if, they might hold this, the 1 pound weights, if anything,
right.
Or they may not do the whole thing, but they like to feel like they're a part of it because I know it's important to mommy. And so they do it. We tried to do also a kid's meditation that has not been as successful, but yes, if I can get them to just be quiet so I can do it, I'm happy. That feels like a win.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So tell us, what are some of the ways, other than, of course, working out that you've already mentioned, that you take time for yourself? And also, I would love to know from you, how have you noticed that when you take time for yourself, obviously, we know that when our cup is full, it can overflow and it can go to other areas of our lives. How have you seen that happen for yourself and for your clients as well?
I will say, I know this will kind of sound high maintenance, and it is a little bit, I'm not going to lie, but because I have seen the benefits of making sure that I sleep well, that I eat well. My husband's like, I don't know how you are not green. You eat so much kale. I have a green smoothie, if it's warm, I'll have a green salad, exactly right. I just I honestly I'm where are the vegetables at all meals? I do my best to meditate every day, to work out at least, 5, 6 times a week, 7 if I can get it in, but not always. And those 4 things really just make the difference for me. And even my husband won't say oh, have you meditated today? If he knows that if he's sees me getting more anxious or stressed than I normally am, he's like, oh, did you get a chance to do that? And so he has seen the benefits of me doing these things as well. So he does the best. He does, his part to make sure that can happen for me too, to support me in doing these things. He actually makes our meals as well. So he definitely is always up on my, what vegetable am I trying right now or incorporating into my life. And I just find that those things really do make the difference. And again, but it's as much as they're serving me. For sure, there are times when I'm just yes, I must have that cookie, and I make sure, I have the sweets. But, yesterday I did in the afternoon and I got a headache from it, and so definitely, again, those impacts, that I see, both the positive and the negative, when I switch up the routine, it just reminds me again, okay, how can I best serve my kids and my clients, because that, when I had a headache yesterday afternoon, dinner time wasn't that much fun with my kids. I didn't get to ask all the questions that I wanted to know.
Yeah.
about their day. And so I was like, okay, right. Okay, I will save my cookies for later if I'm going to have them so that, it doesn't impact my day in this way, impact my time with my family. Being able to be there for my clients. Those are what's most important to me. Being able to help my husband. He's right now in the middle of making my kid's birthday cake for this Friday.
Oh,
And
sweet.
yes, it's really amazing. He does these amazing jobs, but it's really stressful for him. And if I'm feeling stressed out, it's hard for me to, support him and supporting our family, right? So,
Yeah.
I have seen firsthand how much those elements that making sure that I prioritize these things in my life, how much they impact the rest of my life. And so, because I have this evidence, right? The
Right.
evidence shows me that I want to keep doing them so that I can be the mom I want to be. I can be the coach I want to be. I can be the partner that I want to be.
Yeah. Do you think it is the first step in anyone, even, before they start taking care of themselves and taking out time to take care of ourselves? Because I think the most difficult part is to take out time, right? We can all be just like shoving our faces with cookies, but then that's the most difficult part of doing anything for ourselves, taking out time. But do you think the most important step is realizing that connection, that if I want to excel in my job, if I want to be a good coach, if I want to be a good business person, if I want to be a good mom, a good spouse, all those things can happen if I take care of myself, if I put myself first. Do you think it's that connection? Because I think most of us are missing that connection. We think we
I,
can do all those things
yeah.
without taking care of us.
Yes, I totally agree. I think that it's so easy to put it by the wayside, to think like, oh, I don't have time for that. But instead, I'm going to scroll on my phone or something like that. And that, this resting is going to help. But, it doesn't always, right?
Mhm.
Especially if it starts to make you feel bad about yourself. So it's, being aware, right? I think being aware of it is the first step. Like, okay, this isn't working for me. What could work for me? And
Yeah.
being kind of open to that exploration. And then again, that self-awareness and notice, oh, this is benefiting me. Oh, how is this impacting my life? And just taking, seeing that connection. I think you said that so beautifully, that, that there is a connection, right? In terms of how we take care of ourselves and then how we're able to take care of others. And that connection is so beautiful, but it takes a moment of awareness and a moment of like wanting to learn and try things to make that happen.
Yeah, and it's also when you make that connection and when you start, doing those things for yourself, I believe that we're also giving the agency and the power to the people around us, whether it's our clients, whether it's our family, with kids, husband, partners, whoever. We are also giving them the power and the agency to not take from your cup, but go get their own damn cup and fill it themselves,
Yes.
right?
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's like I love the concept of emergence. When we see the flock of birds flying, we look at them and we feel like there's a leader and there's a follower. But if you understand the concept of how birds fly and they fly in flocks, or fishes who swim in schools, they're all leading. They're all leaders. And I think when we start to take care of ourselves, we are creating the concept of emergence. So when you post a workout video, Sarah, your clients, your followers see you, and then they find the agency and the power in themselves that I need to do what Sarah is doing. And then it just spreads out. Someone sees them, so on and so forth.
That is beautiful. I love to think about that. That is just, it's amazing. And the better, because it's true, the better we take care of ourselves, even honestly, even the better parents we are, right? And then you see this other parent and you're
Right.
like, oh, look how they responded to that. That's amazing. And then, right, it just encourages you to do the same. And I agree with you. I think that you never kind of know how, the choices that you're making in your life can impact others, hopefully in positive ways.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the episode, Sarah. I think that was a great way to bring this discussion to an end, that not only are you just taking care of yourself, because I feel like a lot of people can find that self-care is selfish. It's not selfish. Actually, it's very selfless because you're taking care of you and you're giving the power and the agency to other people. So that's the greatest gift. Sarah, if anyone wants to get in touch with you and see your workout videos and get inspired, where can they find you?
I would be wonderful and embarrassed. It would be wonderfully and embarrassing to see, have everyone see my workout videos. I'm blushing right now, so I can't talk. But I am on Instagram at Plan Creatively 8, the number 8, following the Plan Creatively, my company. You can also sign up for my newsletter on my website, which is www.plancreatively.com, where actually my last newsletter was about stillness and movement and the impact of that on your life. So be sure to check that out. I'm also on LinkedIn under my name, Sara Madera. So find me and connect. I want to hear what's going on with you. Show me your workout videos.
I know. You were inspiring me to post my workout videos as well. So I will post them and be embarrassed with you so that we can embarrass other people together.
I love it. I saw one of yours and I was so proud of you. I was like, yes, go. I love it. It's not just me. I'll keep you accountable.
Yes, absolutely. Sara, we'll put all the links in the show notes so that people can know where to find you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and keep inspiring other people. I absolutely love the message and the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked this one or any other episode, there are 3 ways you can support us. Number 1, come home. Start your journey. That's literally the whole point of this podcast. To inspire you, to empower you, and to give you the knowledge and tools so you remember who you really are. Number 2, I'd be so grateful if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us get in front of more people. Number 3, share it with someone, a friend, a family member, a loved one, a peer. You never know how much someone needs to hear this today. Thank you again, and until next time, remember, you're whole, you're enough, you're worthy, you're unlimited, and you are perfect just the way you are. I'll see you next time.